presentation of Fox Sports.
We are Baltimore. We are Ohio.
Yeah, a few Reds fans rolling in. Why not? What a place to watch a ball game. Wrigley Field in Chicago. Game 2 of this 4-game series. Reds looking to bounce back from a tough one here last night. And hi again, everybody, alongside the Cowboy, Jim Brentley and Jim Day. I'm Tom Brenneman. Welcome always to Reds baseball. Joey Votto now has a chance to do something that has not been done since Barry Bonds, and he's the only guy to do it, to get on base 2 times or more in 20 games in a row. That's how hot the guy's been. So naturally, what happens? Teams start doing things you've never seen before. Yeah. And you saw it here last night.
Yeah, we did see it last night. They took the third baseman out of third base, and they put 4 outfielders. Check this alignment out. 1, 2, 3, and 4 out there in right center. I looked up, I thought, what? No third baseman. And what does Votto do? He still gets a hit. I mean, look at that arrangement. And then he just jerks it down the right field line. 50 times now, Tom, he has been on base in the last 19 ball games. Granted, the hitting streak stopped, but Votto hasn't stopped. He's still on base and still raking.
That is a season-high .317 batting average now for Votto. Meanwhile, the hottest pitcher gets the ball tonight for the Reds. What a story Luis Castillo has been since they brought this young man up all the way from Double-A Pensacola.
Amazing to me that he is from Double-A Pensacola. Normally you think, all right, this kid's from Double-A. He's going to be a little intimidated when he gets here. This kid has the most moxie of anybody we're running out there. He gets after it. He pitches tough. He's aggressive within the strike zone. Now, granted, he does have an upper 90s fastball, but the changeup is what amazes me, that this kid can throw the changeup at will. I really believe as this kid gets experience and starts to really manufacture the breaking ball, look out, Johnny Cueto number.
All right, when we come back, we're going to check in with the main man covering Reds baseball, and he's going to tell you what Scooter Gennett has in common with the Babe, the Bambino. Jim Day's all over it, 24/7, 24/7.
brought to you by Chevy. Check out their award-winning lineup only at your Tri-State Chevy dealer. And by Skyline Chili. Feeling good? It's Skyline time. Oh, and you're on the wrong side of a lopsided game. You hope something fun comes out of it. And that's what Scooter Gennett provided last night. We've seen him tomahawk some balls out. He did that last night, his 20th home run of the season. And the game got out of hand, so to save the Reds from using another pitcher, it was Scooter Gennett, the pitcher, in the eighth. 21 pitches, gave up a home run, 2 hits, and a walk. Average velocity 65.9 miles per hour. And he was asked about his, what was that? Was that a curveball? And you look at our IGS bringing the energy, and you know what? Said this is the pregame. If you're in any sentence with Babe Ruth, you've done something cool. Only 2 players to pitch in the same game in which they hit their 20th home run of the season. In the history of baseball, it's only happened twice. Scooter and the Babe. So what about that? What was it, a curveball?
How long have you been throwing that little sidearm curveball?
It's a fastball. Yeah, it's just not too fast. But, man, most of my life. It's a little different, though, when there's a hitter in the box. Like in warm-ups, I thought I was the best pitcher ever, and then, you know, the hitter started to get up there and humbled me up real quick. I don't know what I was hitting, 95, 96, but, yeah, I don't believe that. I think the radar gun might be broke or something. Yeah, that, Statcast, off the bat speed, all that's fake news.
Little sarcastic humor after it. He says, no, I didn't need to ice my arm. Scooter Gennett, every pitcher wants to hit, every hitter wants to pitch. He got to do it last night.
All right, Jim Day, here we go. Scooter in the lineup again tonight, and we'll give you the Red starting lineup here in a moment. We know Kyle Hendricks is on the mound for Chicago, a young man who had a spectacular season a year ago. Has not been nearly as dominant. He's had to also deal with some injury issues through this year. And on the first pitch, Billy pops it up. And out of play, strike one. This one underway in the numbers so far on Kyle Hendricks.
Yeah, like you said, Tom, these are not quite the numbers that the Cubs saw last year from Hendricks. He's had some tendonitis in his hand. And you wonder if maybe that is starting to creep back in, because he's only pitched through 5 innings, 3 of his last 5 starts. So you wonder if it's a per start basis or if it's just something that just pops up out of nowhere.
Well, we'll find out more than likely here tonight, or perhaps zero in a little closer to the answer to that question. Billy's average has slipped under 250, down to 246. 3 home runs, 32 runs batted in, behind 0-2, and he's gone on 3 pitches to start tonight. We look at the Reds starting lineup presented by Menards. With Hamilton retired, here comes Zach Cozart and then Joey Votto. Duvall in the cleanup spot, Scooter at second, and Suarez down at third, batting 6th. Winker in right, Barnhart catching, Luis Castillo.
One thing you can be pretty much assured of with Hendricks on the mound, he's going to try to keep the ball right at the bottom of the kneecaps. If he misses, it's usually down.
1-1 strike on Cozart. Well, since coming off the DL, he has been red hot yet again. That average up to 315, 16 home runs, 46 batted in. Despite a couple of stints on the disabled list, this is his best season in the major leagues in what could be his final year in a Reds uniform. Beautiful night for baseball. Sellout crowd on hand here at Wrigley Field. The defending world champions, their Cubbies, for the first time playing in a stretch right now the way many felt they would play right from the beginning of this year. The Dodgers, the only team in baseball with a better record than Chicago since the All-Star break. Served into short left. This will fall in for a base hit.
Yeah, we hear talk so many times about changing speeds, keeping a hitter off balance, or making mistakes over the heart of the plate. Well, this is not a mistake. It's right on the outside edge. The pitch is down. It's a breaking ball, but yet there are certain points in time where you just tip your hat to the batter. It's a pretty good piece of hitting by Kozak.
Does a pitcher really tip his cap to a batter?
Not a chance.
Or does he just say that guy got lucky?
He got lucky.
That's
actually,
I knew better.
Actually, you turn around and look at him at first and say, "Are you really going to take that? Are you taking that?"
So get rid of that tip your cap business.
Well, it's just political.
I
correct.
I know
what I'm saying.
I know what you're saying, but that's why I had to ask you. Here's a guy that you know, look, my old buddy from SportsIllustrated.com, the legendary writer Peter King, he climbed all over me a couple of years ago, and I said, this guy never gets an out, makes an out anymore. You know, and I say to him, all right, it's 600 on base percentage for a couple of weeks. He said, oh, I got it. He used to write, of course, in Cincinnati.
I might tip my hat to him, though. He's on a roll.
Maybe you're right.
He's on a roll right now. I mean, you look back at some of the stuff that he was doing last year in the second half and in the first half of this year. But, I mean, 50 times in 19 games? I mean, that's dumb numbers.
Among the league leaders now in virtually every category. 6th best batting average, 3rd most home runs, 7th most RBIs, 5th in runs, 5th in total bases, 1st in walks, 1st in on-base percentage. I mean, it's just been amazing what he's done. And those are the numbers the last 10 days. And yet another walk for Votto, adding to his league total. Presented by Ford. Now they're dealing with some injury issues of their own. They're without their regular shortstop Addison Russell. They're without their regular catcher, who's really turning into a big part of this team.
He was hitting 4th in Contreras, Wilson Contreras.
So, you know, still a lot of moving parts. Schwarber's been in there. You saw him last night.
But not the same Kyle Schwarber we saw a couple of years ago.
Yep. Already been sent back to the minors after a terrible start. You know, a lot of times we talk about a Cowboy, you know, you get a lot of extra rope when you do something extraordinary in the postseason. You know, when he missed the entire year virtually outside of the first few games with that knee injury. Then he comes back and hits the way he did in the World Series after not playing at all. You know, that's what people are going to remember. But the fact of the matter is, you know, then he starts this year and wasn't doing the things they were hoping he's going to do. And so they get him back to the minors to hopefully get straightened out for him. Swing and a miss, and well, he carved up Duvall. 3-pitch at bat.
Talk about missing down when you miss. That's an awfully good changeup right there. Where the ball ends up. Talk about Tucker Barnhart and watching the catcher's mitt, whether it goes up or down. So far here for Hendricks, when he's missed, Caratini's glove has gone down. And even when he's gotten swing and misses, his mitt is going down.
All right, 2 away. Let's see if Jeanette can get the Reds on the board. Scooter 20 home runs, a staggering 68 runs batted in, 292 batter. This guy has just had an unbelievable year. But they get him to pop it up, which should end the inning to the shortstop Baez, and the Reds are through. They get a hit, leave 2. Luis Castillo to the Wrigley Field mound for the first time in his career when we come back. The Reds miss a chance in the opening inning. Let's take a look at Chicago's starting lineup. Cubbies at 62 up, 55 down. Leaders in the NL Central by 1.5 over St. Louis. Lineup by Menards, Jay, La Stella, and Bryant down at third. Rizzo, Caratini for the injured Contreras catching, and Almora Jr. in center. Hayward in right by as at short. Henrik's on the mound. Castillo has been the best Red starter since they brought him up. Now 11 starts ago.
Yes, he is making his first start at Wrigley. When he made his first start at Yankee Stadium, you would have thought he'd been pitching in the big leagues for 7 or 8 years. The kid just doesn't seem to be flappable at all. He handles it.
Back-to-back fastballs, pumping them right now to John Jay, who's a good fastball hitter, and quickly ahead, 0-2.
Well, there are a lot of good fastball hitters that are fastball hitters mid-thigh and up around the belt. You stay down there around the bottom of the kneecaps, that's when the party starts if you're pitching.
Should be noted, this is not only Castillo's first start at Wrigley Field, this is the first time the Cubs have ever seen Luis Castillo. Two and two on John Jay. This guy's been a good, solid player for a long time. He has gone on strikes. And that's part of that repertoire that you love, Cowboy, from this young Reds right-hander.
Looks like a fastball until you swing and the ball's not there yet. You can see the lunge of Jay even coming towards the pitcher. And that tells you a little bit about Castillo. The first changeup he threw on the previous pitch was way up and away. He comes right back, makes the adjustment, perfect pitch.
There's Tommy La Stella. We saw La Stella early in the year. He had been battling through some injury problems of his own. This guy's been a backup player with Atlanta and Chicago, but whenever he gets a chance to play, it seems like he will hit. Been up and down with the Cubs 4 times this year. Has 8 hits in his last 15 at bats. But that's not regular playing time. That spans 10 games in 15 at bats. So it's only a start or 2 here and there and a lot of pinch hitting.
I personally think that's even harder to do. You're getting to play every day. You're seeing a lot of pitches. You're getting to get some reps in. You're coming off the bench. More times than not, you're throwing somebody out of a bullpen that's hitting 100.
We talked about the Cubs, a 1.5 lead over St. Louis in the Central. You may remember both teams went into the All-Star break tied 5.5 games behind the Milwaukee Brewers. So the Cubs have gained 8 games on Milwaukee since a break. St. Louis has picked up nearly 7. That's a routine ground ball. The pitcher will beat La Stella to the bag, 2 down. Let's look at the Reds on defense, presented by Ford. Regular group, pretty much day in and day out. Barnhart hanging the signs with Castillo. And another really difficult injury to one of our favorite players on this team in Devin Mesoraco. It might seem like we say a lot of nice things about a lot of the players because the Reds have a group of, by and large, very pleasant young people. And Devin Mesoraco is right at the very top of that list. I mean, this kid, he's just had a tough go with all the injuries, surgeries to the shoulder, both hips, hit by a pitch last night. When's the last time you saw a guy get hit by a pitch and break his foot? You know, it happened. And I'm sure Devin's watching tonight, hit by Quintana. And normally you think, okay, it's going to hurt, but the guy's going to be okay. Right on that bone, broke the outside of it. And not real sure. I have the exact same broken bone in my foot right now that he has. And when I heard somebody saying, I know he's 20-something and he's a professional athlete and he's a big, strong guy, it's the same broken bone in the same foot. 3 to 6 weeks ain't happening.
Look,
I'm sorry.
You break a bone, it's got to heal. It's got to have time to heal. And if it's in your foot, it's taking all of your body weight as well.
And I think his is worse than mine. So, you know, we'll see. You hope and pray for the best. Devin, we're rooting for you.
Well, you'd like for the kid to have an opportunity to play without having these issues, and it's just been very difficult for him because he's a good player.
There's a walk to Bryant. Now Bryant's going through the same kind of stretch right now that Votto's going through in regard to getting on base. I mean, listen to some of these numbers for Bryant, right? He has now reached base in 17 of his last 21 plate appearances.
Not games, plate appearances.
Yes.
Matter of fact, if Bryant was playing first base tonight, he and Votto would probably know everything about each other before the game's over with.
You're probably right. Anthony Rizzo having another excellent year for Chicago. 27 home runs, 76 batted in, big on base percentage, and nearly a 300 batter. We're at 262 batter. It's 300 batter nearly Bryant. Pulled the string on him there.
I love that pitch. If you can teach a youngster a pitch to throw early in their pitching lifetime, the changeup is the best pitch to learn. I wish I had learned that when I was 10, 11, 12, 13 years old.
Little flare into short left. That'll fall in a base hit. So this is almost identical to the way the Reds' first inning played out. They got a bloop and a walk. And now the Cubs get a walk and a bloop. And here comes Caratini. Can we get down there tomorrow and ask Joe Madden? You know, not that there's necessarily an explanation for every single thing that he does, because he likes to think out of the box and try some things that maybe some other guys won't do. Of course, when you win a lot of games, you do that kind of thing. You win a World Series, especially here, you do that kind of thing. But you know, you look at a guy like Caratini. Now we know this guy can hit. We saw him a little bit. But let's be honest about it. You know, when you're just called up, you played in what, 14 games, and when you're setting your lineup. And I know Hayward's not been a great player, but it's still Jason Hayward, veteran guy, left-handed batter, right? Guy who's gotten a lot of big hits for you the last year or two, Javier Baez. And you've got both those guys batting 2 spots behind this guy.
Right.
Two on, 2 out. Good fastball there at 97, paints the inside corner. Struck him out on a changeup to end the inning. 2 strikeouts for Castillo. Each team strands 2 in a scoreless first. Top of the second inning of a scoreless game. We're talking about guys getting on base, and one thing, Cowboy, you pointed out the last homestand when you and I worked the entire stand together on TV. How much more selective Eugenio Suarez is becoming as a batter.
And I think that's just maturity, Tom. I think it takes a little while to have the confidence to take a first pitch or maybe a second pitch if it's not something that you like. But you have to have that confidence to hit with 2 strikes. I think we're seeing that with Zach Cozart. I think we're seeing that with Eugenio Suarez. We've seen it forever with Joey Votto. And I think that's one of the things when you talk about Jose Peraza and the struggles that he's had this year compared to what we saw last year at the second half of the year and in spring training, is that confidence. Don't swing at the pitcher's pitch on the first pitch of the at-bat.
All right, so here he's in a 2-strike count here. And for those, there have been studies for years. And naturally, when a hitter gets 2 strikes, the batting average starts to decline from where you begin at bat, obviously, at 0-0. Most people think 3 and 2 is a good hitter's count. It has not been traditionally. It's more like 2-0, 2-1, 3-0, 3-1. But when you start getting to 2 strikes, guys generally do not have a very good batting average.
Reasonable expectation of a pitch being within the strike zone or close to it. 3-1, 2-0. 2-1, even 2-1.
2-1's become a very good hitter's. 1-1's become a very good hitter's count. Suarez going on strikes because more and more numbers and data are showing that the money pitch in the at-bat, if not the first pitch, is the 1-1 pitch because of the difference of a hitter's batting average going to 2-1 as opposed to the pitcher being ahead at 1-2. Suarez has 45 walks this year on 3-2 counts. That's the most of any batter in baseball. How about that?
I just think it shows you patience. I think it shows you maturity. Every hitter's coming to the plate searching fastball. I think they want a fastball out over the plate that they can hammer. That's part of the reason that these 2 guys here tonight, both Hendricks and Castillo, their best pitches are changeups. When you can throw that changeup in the middle of the plate, it's 10 miles an hour slower than your normal fastball. It looks just like a heater. You're going to get guys with a lot of swings that are going to look foolish.
Winker with a 1-out single and a right, second Reds hit of the game.
I think Kyle Hendricks will tell you that was a mistake pitch. He wanted that pitch to be right on the inside corner and a little bit lower. It ran back over the middle of the plate.
It's in there, strike 1 to Barnhart.
That's more along the lines where he wanted that pitch to Winker. A little bit more sink to that pitch, stayed right on the inside corner. Started as a ball, ended up as a strike.
Double play ball here. And that will end the inning. No score after 1.5 at Wrigley Field.
brought to you by T-Mobile. You talked about the role Votto's been on. How about Giancarlo Stanton? 44 home runs, a Marlins single-season record. He already has one today. Home run in 6 straight games. 11 home runs in the last 12 games. 18 since the All-Star break, and he's on pace for 60 home runs, and that would be the most since Bonds and Sosa in 2001. You want to talk about turning up the wick power numbers? Giancarlo Stanton.
Cowboy, you were saying before we even got to Jim Day that, you look at those numbers, that's silly.
And in the ballpark that he plays in, it's not like Marlins Park is a big home run joint.
There's no doubt about that. There's a laser off the bat of Almora Jr., and that's 1 pitch and 1 out for Mr. Castillo. Tell you, this young man has already caught the eye of a lot of people that watch a lot of baseball. I was just at a bunch of Fox meetings the last couple of days that were, revolved around the NFL, but a lot of people who work in the business, because Fox, of course, is the postseason home for Major League Baseball and the regular season home for Major League Baseball. And a lot of folks had already asked me about young Mr. Luis Castillo. Joe Buck walks up to me yesterday and says, man, that Castillo guy. Yeah, pretty good. Maybe one day he can call some of his games in the postseason.
Well, you walk out onto the mound at Yankee Stadium and you pitch like you've been in the big leagues for 4 or 5 years. That tells you a little something about the man's insides. He's 24 years old, straight out of Double-A. It's not like he's had a whole lot of seasoning.
Well, this, look, you brought up the name, and I know that no one would mean to try to slap the kind of label he's going to be fill in the next blank, because he could be better than all of them. I mean, who knows, Oh, dear. That's how our old buddy Mark Grace used to describe it when you were a batter and that happened to you. The only thing you said is, oh, dear.
Yeah. Poulan, Ed. That's chainsaw.
Oh, man, yeah.
That's one where you really don't even want to run.
No. Oh, dear.
But the name you were
you brought up Johnny Cueto in the open, and at least from the little bit we've seen, and look, this young man's only thrown 60 innings, but from what we've seen, the stuff, the confidence, the moxie, the stage presence, this guy's got it. He's got it.
He does, and he's just now learning a breaking ball, which has really come this year. He's starting to learn how to manipulate the fastball a little bit, trying to bring it back to the outside corner to a right-hander. Those are some of the pitches that you see him pull over into the left-handed hitter's batter's box. But what I love about this kid is he thinks he's better than the guy standing at the plate. That's what I want on my team.
Sure. Liner, and a terrific catch again made by Duvall, who's been just so good out in left field this year. That's a 9-pitch inning for Castillo. A couple of hard hit balls and a good play to get the final out. Out of market regular season game live. Visit MLB.tv for details. Blackout and other restrictions may apply. Beautiful, beautiful night at Wrigley Field in Chicago. Wind blowing in off Lake Michigan. And a pretty stiff wind at that. It's probably, once that ball gets in the air, what do you think, about 15, maybe sometimes 20 miles per hour? Pretty good.
I'd say gust-wise, maybe not 20, but in the teens.
Castillo, a slow roller to the shortstop. And that's the way the third begins for the Reds in this scoreless game.
Let's just put it this way. If you're going to hit one out, you better get it.
Yeah. And you hit it low. Well, we've talked about many times the great Hall of Famer Ryne Sandberg. Had a chance to work here for a number of years.
I had a chance to give some up to him.
Yes. And he'd hit those low line drives just above, you know, the Under Armour sign out there, but low enough where, and back in those days they didn't have that big scoreboard even to knock the wind down even more, to block it anyway. And it's where he hit a lot of his home runs.
I'm seeing more and more now where Billy is having conversations with the home plate umpire about ball and strike issues, and now here comes Brian Price to talk about it. This is always, for a hitter and a manager, it is always, always, always going to be a lose-lose.
The question is, are they saying he offered to try and bunt the pitch? Okay, you start with that. Doesn't look like he did.
No.
Then is it a called strike? Catcher doesn't have to catch a ball to be a called strike.
Right.
And that's probably what Billy is saying. How in the world can you call a strike when the catcher doesn't even catch it?
And maybe home plate umpire Marvin Hudson said foul ball. Goodness knows we saw enough of that in Milwaukee.
Yeah, the Reds had a number of calls certainly not go their way that night. That was a one-run loss.
When you're winning, things seem to go your way. When you're not, it's like everything goes against you. It's just the nature of the beast.
Well, he pops it up, foul out of play, and he's behind 1-2. Kendrick struck out Hamilton, leading off the game on 3 pitches.
When you look at the positioning of Chris Bryant, granted now you have 2 strikes, it's kind of out of order, but he's still got to come at a little steeper angle to the plate if Hamilton gets the ball closer to the third baseline on a bunt. So he's really going towards the backstop, catch the baseball, and then have to throw the opposite way back towards first rather than coming right down the line and using his momentum to carry him to first base. It's all about placement of the bunt.
Second time Hamilton has struck out.
And then again, it's about placement of the pitch.
4 strikeouts now for Hendricks. And now the batter is Cozart, who had a little flare single into short left field in the first inning, wound up being stranded in scoring position. Both teams left 2 on in the first. Ryne Sandberg against the Cowboys. You only gave up 1 home run.
It felt like I gave him a lot more.
He was 5 for 12 against you, so I mean that's borderline ownership. But
no, ownership
1
is
bomb.
Bagwell. That's ownership. He killed me.
That's not a good guy to get killed by, because now you're talking real home runs, right?
Well,
Bagwell.
I made the mistake with Bagwell. I think his first 9 or 10 at bats against me were outs or strikeouts when he first got over here in the National League. I made the mistake of knocking him down twice on 0-2 pitch at Candlestick.
Oh, is that right?
The third one in the seats, dead center. And I didn't get him out for 5 or 6 years.
Scott Schebler begins a 3-game rehab stint with AAA Louisville tonight. The Reds hope, if all goes well, he'll be back with the big club in Atlanta, and that'll present quite the problem as far as the roster goes, so we'll see what happens there. But Schebler on his way back. And gentlemen, I don't know if you caught Hunter Green's act last night, the 2nd overall pick in this year's draft, two-way player, his 3rd game, designated hitted last night, batted 3rd and had 4 hits, 4 for 7. And look at his numbers in 3 games, 357, 3 RBIs. It was a 17-14 win for rookie ball Billings last night in a 5-hour affair in 12 innings. But Hunter Green is yet to make his debut on the mound. That is supposed to come later this month.
Great stuff as always, Jim Day. Jim, you got to be pretty comfortable down there right now. I mean, this is a perfect night.
Yeah, this is good.
But rarely do you have empty seats behind you. You've got a couple, or maybe they're gone. I don't know.
No, they haven't shown up.
Okay. Gone swinging Hendricks. And that's the 3rd strikeout by Castillo. Normally you're carrying on and making fans and friends down there in the stands.
Pretty quiet tonight.
Wow.
Yeah, but if I could
well,
bottle
I mean,
up
it's a
this
Tuesday
temperature-
night, right? Tuesday night.
It's Tuesday night. You know, normally these seats are reserved for
like the
guests
big,
of the
big
Reds.
wigs, right?
Yeah, guests
big
of the Reds.
like friends or family of Brantley.
Exactly.
Whatever.
Right? I mean,
Exactly.
You know, the Brenneman family doesn't get those. Well, Marty maybe does.
No.
But yeah, that's why I
Sister
said,
Dawn
that's why
sat here.
I did not leave those. I said Marty.
Who's he?
Now Brantley, if he left tickets, they'd be sitting there. They might be sitting in front of you, but Brantley left.
If Brantley left tickets, I don't know, they might be right behind the umpire. Somewhere really close.
You might be right.
Surely people don't believe that.
Believe me, they think that, and they know it to be true. That ball's in the air, right field. I mean, Cowboys said it a minute ago. Not that Jay hit that ball hard. Obviously, he did not. But if you're going to hit one out, you better hit it tonight. Not that it's a gale, and it almost looks like it sort of shifts directions a little bit.
But this is a bigger ballpark than what it seems on some given days. When the wind's blowing out, this thing plays like a bandbox. But if you've got a general breeze in, or like we have tonight, a little more than a breeze, you better bring your big boy back.
mean, everybody around the ballpark, whether they be with the Reds, even with the Cubs, players, coaches, talking about the pace of that game last night. You look at the Cubs starting pitcher tonight. He's thrown 38 pitches in the first 3 innings. The starter last night for Chicago had thrown double that in the first 3 innings. You said on the bus coming over here, Quintana didn't have it last night.
I didn't think really either pitcher had their command last night.
Well, they both got it going on tonight.
Well, that's the part about Castillo that you have to admire. Not only is he a highly confident young man, not cocky in any way, just internal confidence. He gets the ball right back from the catcher. He's on the mound and he's on the attack. And it's the same for Kyle Hendricks on the other side. And Hendricks has been around a little bit.
Yeah, Hendrickson is now 4th season. Came up in 2014.
Hendricks works quickly because he wants you to jump at that changeup.
Now those are the things right there as a young pitcher that Castillo will get cleaned up. You just can't walk Tommy La Stella in front of Chris Bryant with 2 outs and nobody on in a scoreless game. You just can't do it. Because the next thing you know, it could be 2-0.
But I do like the fact that regardless of what batter comes to the plate and what name they have on the back of the jersey, the kid that's on the mound for the Reds, he doesn't care. He's going to get you out. That's what he believes, and that's really what you want.
Comes right back and takes care of Bryant on the first pitch.
He's
and
not playing around.
No, he's not. We are scoreless at the end of 3. Castillo v. Hendricks. And only 3 National League players have hit 60 or more home runs, knocked in 180 runs or more since the very beginning of last year, and look who's right there among them. Votto, not only him, how about his teammate? 2 on the same team. Look at that RBI total by Arenado. It's over 50 more RBIs in a season and what, not even quite 3 quarters.
I got it. And people will immediately say, well, he plays in Colorado. Granted, he does play in Colorado, but that cat can hit. He could hit on the moon. But I think it also shows you, excuse me, Tom, I think it also shows you what kind of offensive base that the Reds have right now. And you would hate to look back 5 or 6 years from now and say, boy, we really had some kind of offense then if we could just have put some pitching together.
I mean, look, no team offensively is perfect, and the Reds are not perfect.
No.
But they have a couple of guys, as those numbers indicate, going 3-4 every night that if you put people on base in front of them, they got a real good chance of bringing them in, and that's a rare time where Votto has been fooled, and he was fooled there.
Looked like Votto was trying to just foul that one off towards the third base dugout and live for another pitch and just didn't quite get to it. I think the Reds have a great example in Votto on how to approach the hitting aspect of this game. They've got guys like Suarez, Duvall, Schebler has bought into it. You're hoping that some of the other guys do as well. Zach Cozart, I think, is a better player and a better hitter simply because of watching Votto and how he goes about his business as far as putting the ball in play and handling himself at the plate, extending at bats. And I think Tucker Barnhart would fall into that category. He's a much, much better hitter than what we saw when he first got to the big leagues.
And look, that is the one thing that if you were going to lay out the pluses and minuses, and look, let's be honest about it. The manager's contract is up at the end of the year. All right? They have an option on Brian Price to decide whether or not they're going to bring him back. And when you look at all the things you want to look at, the pros and cons, good, bad, and different, and we know what the cons are. I mean, it starts and ends with pitching.
Right.
But certainly the major pro argument would be, and you'd say, well, what's it got to do with him? Well, the bottom line is he was here when it happened. Is that so many players offensively have become really good, if not great, but certainly getting better by the day offensive players.
Tough outs. They're tough outs. I would not have any problem matching up the Reds offense with anyone. But the bottom line is, in this game, in this day and age, you must have starting pitching to compete. And it's not just the Reds, it's throughout baseball.
Well, look, all you need to know are two things about the Reds pitching staff. And you get into all the other stuff you want to get into. When for the second year in a row, you've walked more batters than any staff in the league, and for the second year in a row, you've given up more home runs than any staff in the league, that's what you spell D-U-N. Done. I mean, you look like the Reds OPS. You know, so their on-base percentage plus their slugging percentage, right? Pretty good indicator of getting better as an offensive player. The team OPS has risen significantly every year for this offense since Brian Price has been manager. And again, I don't want to.
And Don Long is a hitting coach.
That's part of the whole package. That's exactly right. I don't want anybody to think that Brian Price is giving hitting tips down there. But the bottom line is his staff and his hitting coach that he brought in, they've done a good job in that regard.
I just think that when you see young hitters like Suarez, Duvall, Schebler, when they start to choke up and they start to do things that you've not seen them do, and all of a sudden batting average rises, home run capabilities rise, their walk rate starting to increase, that makes it awfully difficult on an opposing pitcher, whether he's Clayton Kershaw, Max Scherzer, or whether he's a kid.
And look, as far as Don Long is concerned, Scooter Gennett's never had a year like this.
Proof is in the pudding.
Well, those decisions are for other people to make.
We are in a results business.
Yes. And shot into right field off the bat of Suarez, so it's a 2-out noise for the Reds, a walk and a single. And Jesse Winker, who had a base hit his first time up, coming to the plate. No score. We're in the 4th inning.
Now, Kyle Hendricks is one of those types of pitchers. You have to take what he's going to give you. If he's going to pitch down and make you hit the ball the other way, as he did there with Suarez, you take the ball the other way. If you're continually trying to lift the ball on a guy like Hendricks, you're going to have a long afternoon or a long night. Because as soon as that front shoulder starts to rise and he sees you starting to pull out, he's going to pull the string. You're going to try to eat that changeup, and that's not a real good pitch to have to swing at off this guy.
All right, here we go. So Winker digging in. He hooked one into right field his first time up. And the first pitch breaking balls on the outside corner. Strike 1 to Winker. A walk to Jeanette with 2 outs. He's up the trail and around the bend after the single by Suarez. Quickly 0-2.
He starts a curveball off the plate, brings it back to the outside corner for a strike. He starts a changeup about the same speed on the plate, really enticing you to swing, and as you start to commit, the ball just fades off the plate. Kind of making X on the outside corner with curveball changeup combo.
Struck him out on 3 pitches, and that'll end the inning. No score. Bottom 4 coming up.
Tucker Barnhart has been a stabilizing force behind the plate this season. What piece of equipment is more important to Adam Duvall than his bat and glove? And some guy named Jim Day goes along for a ride on Redzilla. Tune in to an all-new Reds Weekly tomorrow at 6 o'clock on Fox Sports Ohio and streaming live on Fox Sports Go.
Well, Jim Day, that was big league when you rode in Redzilla that night. Cowboy, you were in the booth with me that night.
I was, and I thought that Jim really handled the pressure of the moment about as good as you could handle it.
Yes.
Especially sitting in the middle seat. He looked a little squished, but he handled the pressure.
Fly ball to center field on the first pitch. Yeah, these fans have been in this ballpark long enough. Must be opening night for some of them.
Well, there are some nights here where the wind is blowing out and you hit that ball and it's in the basket. Not tonight. You better hit that one, run out there, pick it up, hit it again.
That's exactly right. I hit it twice.
Yeah.
Hey, Fox Sports and the Reds, along with all of her kids, her grandkids, her great grandkids. They call her Grandma Lizzie. in Sellersburg, Indiana. Grandma Lizzie celebrating a 92nd birthday today. Grandma Lizzie, from all of us and your wonderful family, we love you so very much, a happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Grandma. Grandma Lizzie.
One pitch. Caratini struck out, stranding 2 in the first inning. Swing and a miss. Boy, that was abuse in that at bat. All right, let's take a game break. Cardinals are taking on the Red Sox. Boy, that's a great series. And how about it, Jeff Pecora? How about that?
Triple play.
On a ground ball, you don't see a lot of those.
Must have been hit pretty hard. I mean, I know he's not real fast, but still. Triple play.
Little weak flare into right field, but it's a 2-out single by Almora. Second hit for Chicago. Both of these guys are just pounding the strike zone here tonight. First pitch strikes. All but 4 for Castillo, all but 4 for Hendricks.
Well, if you think about it, Tom, from a pitcher's perspective, you pound the strike zone, the hitters are going to become more aggressive. So if you do happen to make a mistake out of the strike zone, they're swinging anyway. Because they've already, all right, this guy's coming after me, I'm swinging. Makes your changeup that much more effective, makes your breaking ball that much more effective. When you're 3-1, 2-0 to every batter that walks up there, and then you center that fastball about belt high, that's when you get crushed.
And we've seen a lot of that. Hayward's up there with a new piece of lumber because his last at bat, Castillo buried one in on his knuckles and cracked the bat on a harmless roller down the bottom. 0-1. Milwaukee and the Pirates getting together tonight. They're already in the bottom of the 5th. 1-0 Milwaukee lead just up the road. Well, that game's moving faster than this one. They started at the same time, I think, up there. Or maybe is another one of those early starts for Milwaukee. Because, man, this game's moving pretty quick. And we're in the bottom of the 4th. Well, now a rare 2-0 count to any Chicago hitter in the game so far tonight. And Tardy on the 97-mile-per-hour fastball is Hayward.
Hayward really trying to get his hands inside that pitch. It was down, not as high as the pitch that jammed him last time, so he was able to get some of the barrel to the baseball, but still quite tardy.
Okay, there are a lot of years left on this Hayward contract. What do you get, a 7-year deal? For the first 2 years of this contract, it has been a brutal contract for the Cubs. A 39 runs batted in for Hayward, and that's coming off the worst season of his major league career last year. And I mean, he got one of the best contracts in Major League Baseball. And so far, with a long way to go on it, it has not been a good deal for the Cubbies. Now, they didn't win the World Series, and he got a lot of, you know, he went about it the way you want a guy to go about it in the clubhouse. Got a lot of credit for the way he
stayed positive.
Yep, stayed positive during his team's run in the postseason. There's a pop up in the short left center, and 2 ball to get it. The inning is over. Both pitchers on it tonight.
scoreboard remains the same, and it remains a novelty even to visiting teams. Earlier today, the Reds took their turn going up there, and you got to climb up there and ladder old school style. Ted Power, Reds bullpen coach, check him out. He's on top of the scoreboard. In fact, going with him, Stevenson, Wood, Winker went up there, Shackelford, Scooter Jeanette's holding the bat. You can see these guys on top of the scoreboard, and they all talked about the novelty of it, and there's ladders throughout. They take you to different levels of the scores being put up, and it is as old school as it gets. Each number or letter put up individually, number of workers working inside of that scoreboard, so it is as an original an item as you get at Wrigley Field.
Yes, it is. There's a line drive off the bat of Barnhart. And, you know, it's nice to see Ted Power. Not surprised at all that, you know, he'd go up there with those young guys, because, I mean, look, you don't know how long you're going to be in the big leagues, Cowboy. You know as well as anybody. You know, you get up here, you hope you're going to be here, you think you're going to be here forever. So if you get a chance to go up and hang out in the scoreboard at Wrigley Field,
you do it.
Go do it. That's why I'm really amazed that, you know, when you talk to a lot of the players in this day and age, and I'm not suggesting back in your day and age that it was any different, but I've always been amazed at, especially now, and I don't know if it's because a lot of the younger generation, and this is the youngest team in Major League Baseball, you know, right now, the numbers say so anyway. The players, I'm not suggesting you go out and go on some walking tour for 2.5 or 3.5 or 4.5 miles during the course of a day when you come to some of these cities. But look, most players in a dugout, when they're a rookie, for 99.9% of these cities, when they come to these cities, it's the first time they've ever been to these cities. And I'm not just talking about the Latin-born players. I mean, earlier this year when Amir Garrett came to the major leagues, young man who grew up out in Nevada, went to college, you know, in New York and a little bit in California, he was more well-traveled as Castillo grounds out. I mean, by far more well-traveled than most of the guys that come to the big leagues. But then even, you know, talking to him about how many cities he had been to. And we were going through the whole list of them in the National League. The only 3 he had been to were the 3 where he spent time going to college or near college.
I know for me, when I played at that ballpark, it was the first time I was in that city.
Exactly right. So I've been surprised that sometimes you don't take maybe an hour or 2 to go do something that maybe
but I
you
mean,
may never do again.
Some guys are intimidated. I know my first trip into New York, I didn't even want to go out of the hotel.
Great point.
I went downstairs. We're staying at the Grand Hyatt. I went downstairs. I'm looking out the door. I didn't want to walk around. I didn't even know where I was.
It's hard to tell.
I'm from Alabama. They didn't have that many people in the whole state.
Not even close.
I'd take a right. I'd go down. Well, that's a Fridays. I know what they have there. I ate there, and I go right back to my room.
All day.
That's it.
Yeah. They need to hang around a guy like Jim Day.
True.
Because he would get him out amongst them.
I mean, I had to have some instructions to get a cab, and much less get on the train to go out to the ballpark.
Well, that's a whole different animal.
It is.
But you know what? I would venture to say that when you finally did do it, right?
I did.
Went out with a few of your other teammates. Pretty cool experience, right?
I did. I'll have to tell you another experience about that train in New York where we got 2 outs.
Little looper. It'll fall in a base hit, and that's Emmanuel Warner. So go ahead.
All right,
Let me
I'll tell
hear this.
you.
Come on, let's hear it.
I get on the train, the Flushing number 9, I believe they called it,
Yes.
heading out to Shea.
Yeah.
I get on the train. You know, we're all sitting down because when you leave Grand Central, there weren't that many people on the train. We're heading out. Keep going, keep going. Bunch of people got on the train. There was an older lady that got onto the train. I got up out of my seat. I said, "Ma'am, you can sit here." She kind of looked at me kind of funny, and I said, "No, sit down, sit down." This guy, he had earrings from head to toe, sat in that seat. And I said, buddy, get out of that seat. That's for her. Well, I didn't know if he was going to shoot me, stab me, or snap my neck.
We'll get back to that. I want to hear this. That's not good, Hamilton there. 10 the inning. Picked off. No score, middle of the fifth. On Fox Sports Ohio, brought to you by Cincinnati Children's, changing the outcome together. And by your local Ford dealer. Ford, go further. What a beautiful look at this beautiful downtown. No two ways about that. It's the best big city in America. Be right down there along the lakefront. A city of broad shoulders. You know, look, they have their problems just like a lot of other places do, believe me. Once you get right down there in the downtown near where we stay,
it's nice.
It's really, really nice. And then you come up the lake towards Wrigley. You and I were sitting by each other on the bus, and all the parks, and right on the lake.
A lot of
people
trees.
active and running around, and kids and families. It's good stuff. And a special hello, speaking of kids, as we always do, for those watching over at Cincinnati Children's tonight. We hope you've had a great day and pray for an even better one tomorrow. Would he break his bat, hit it off the end of the bat? Yeah, like he did. He's been breaking bats left and right, has Castillo, so far tonight. So I'm not going to let you get away from that. So kindly as you would, you offer this elderly woman your seat on the subway. Some dude sits down in the seat and you say, all right, it's time to beat him. Please continue.
And he didn't move. And the lady looks at me and she goes, it's all right, don't worry about it. I said, no, it's not all right. So I bent down because
you were a kid from Alabama.
I was not real happy. I said, get up. I got up for her, not you. Let the lady sit in the seat. He was not happy. He got up and he stood. I mean, he's probably at least a foot taller than me. And he is right up next to me for the entire rest of the trip, all the way out to the ballpark.
You're kidding.
I was waiting for him to snap my neck. And the lady, I felt bad because, you know, she was kind of shaking a little bit. Pretty good strikeout there. And I tapped her on the shoulder. I said, it's all right. Don't worry about it. And, you know, nothing ever happened, but I just thought, man.
It's a different place than where I grew up.
Well, it just just bothered me. I guess I could have probably just let it go, but I just
No, you can't.
I can't let stuff like that go. You live and learn.
You got that right. You know, most of the people watching our game tonight here with 2 down and nobody on have never had a chance to go to New York City.
Right.
And that's true in any city you go to. Most of the people that are watching a ball game have never been to New York. And
it is a beautiful, it's a beautiful place.
You hit the nail on the head, though, about what an intimidating place it can be.
It is when you haven't been there. But once you start to learn the city, just like it is with San Francisco or Chicago or
yeah, but
Miami,
New York's different.
It is. It's different. But once you learn the city and you understand how things operate, you begin to get a sense of how to move around. And there are some wonderful places to go and wonderful people as well.
Now they're going to bring this guy back. There's no way they're letting Jay take this base here. He offered to bunt at that pitch. And that's exactly what the home plate umpire, Marvin Hudson, is saying. Not a chance.
Yeah, if you offer to bunt at the pitch and it hits you, it's still a strike. It's kind of like swinging and the ball hits you in the chest. And you can see the bat go down on the changeup. He just got fooled by the pitch. Watch the bat head come down. Once that bat head moves forward, that's commitment.
Over to the right side, Votto to get it. The feed to Castillo.
Nice job.
Well, I'm gonna tell you what, this is impressive for Mr. Castillo. 5 innings of 2-hit shutout baseball. Cowboy pitching on both sides.
It really has been, Tom. And pitching is about changing speeds within the strike zone, keeping the hitters off balance. And boy, have both of these guys done it tonight. Fastball, changeup. Now different velocities for Hendricks versus Castillo, but both pitchers have been able to make pitches and work within their own physical capabilities. If Kyle Hendricks was trying to throw the ball as hard as Luis Castillo, he would get hammered. You pitch within what you have. If your top velocity is 90 miles an hour, work within that. Don't try to throw 100 if you've never thrown 100 in your life.
Cozart leads things off here for the Reds in the 5th. They got a 2-out single by Hamilton, just their 4th hit of this game. but he was picked off to end the 5th inning.
I would venture to say, speaking of 100, I would venture to say for Luis Castillo, if he really wanted to throw every pitch 100, he could do it. That's not pitching, that's throwing.
Tonight, his debut against the Chicago Cubs, so obviously his debut here at Wrigley Field in Chicago. And so far, 5 sparkling innings with 2-hit shutout baseball. Well, here are the numbers. Number 1 Cowboy among starters in the league against number 152, but it's the perfect example. You throw strikes and you will get people out whether you throw a 97 or 91.
The object as a pitcher is to make every pitch look like your fastball. Whether you throw 97, whether you throw 67. If every pitch looks like the fastball and then you take something off of it, the hitter is going to come to you. Why else would a guy like Hendricks be able to jam somebody at 85? It is the give and take of pitching.
Joey Votto 0 for 1, walked in the 1st inning, struck out his next time up. And quickly ahead. I mean, there's a pitch right there that jammed Votto in the mid-80s.
But when you're changing speeds and eye levels, you see that pitch was a little higher and on the inside corner with movement. You have to wait. For Castillo, you're trying to speed up to the fastball, and then the changeup, it's Bugs Bunny style. Thing just disappears. If you think of it from this standpoint, I'm trying to induce weak contact. Some of those balls are going to fall in. They're going to find holes. Yes, they are. But if you induce weak contact, you're going to stay away from those doubles and home runs.
Well, that's where Hendricks a year ago was among the very, very best in all of Major League Baseball. He allowed 15 home runs in almost 200 innings last year. Now, he's allowed 11 this year in only 80 innings. Thus, he's not having nearly the same kind of season. We talked about the injuries earlier, so that's part of it too. But when you give up 15 home runs in almost 200 innings and you have great control, it's no reason last year Hendricks was among the best pitchers in all of Major League Baseball. He had a 2.13 ERA for the year.
When you get to the mound, you have adrenaline. The adrenaline is great. Use the adrenaline to focus further on where you want to micro spot that baseball at the plate. Don't let it control your effort and how hard you're trying to throw the ball to the plate. Then you're never going to be able to locate.
That is one incredible at bat. Plate appearance, of course, at the end of the day, but it was an at bat which was just mind-boggling. He fell behind 0-2, and so Votto now has reached base safely twice or more in 20 consecutive games. One shy of Major League Baseball's all-time, well, record since 1913.
Yeah,
he ties with Barry Bonds in 04 and Pete Rose in 79.
As you mentioned earlier, Bonds did it. He's the last one to do it back in 2000.
And that was the first one to do it since the 70s when Peter Edward did it. And he was the first one to do it since Ted Williams did it way, way back. And of course, you bring up the name Ted Williams to Joey Votto, and that's his guy. Has been since he was a little kid, even though he never saw him play. But read, Ted Williams' book, and all about hitting. Well, I'll never forget seeing Ted Williams in person for the first time in my life, the year Johnny Bench was inducted to the Baseball Hall of Fame, and I happened to be there with Channel 5 in Cooperstown, and back behind the stage where all the Hall of Famers would pull up. There's a fly ball into left field, and that will be the second out of the inning. And every Hall of Famer that pulled up has a coat and tie there for the, for the ceremony and the induction. And it was a huge year. Johnny Bench went in with Carlton Fisk, with Harry Caray. It was an unbelievable turnout. And Ted Williams pops out of his car. He's got on a sport coat, a golf shirt, and a pair of sunglasses hanging on a chain around his neck. I thought, man, that's a cool guy. And he was. Larger than life.
Yeah, I got in trouble for that at Cooperstown. Remember that story?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. There's a tapper.
I'll tell it again in a minute.
And that's the inning. He goes right through the middle of the lineup. Outside of a walk to Votto, there's Hendricks. The annual sliding into Ohm. It's August 26th, presented by St. Elizabeth Healthcare. Multiple packages available. Includes your session of yoga on the field. That's right up your alley, Cowboy. An exclusive Reds yoga mat. And a game
too
ticket.
beat up for that.
Visit Reds.com/yoga. That would be very good for you, and I'm not saying that facetiously.
The only I can give you is can you help me up?
I'm telling you, it would be good for you. I'm going to leave it alone. It'd be very good for you.
I'm big on those tight pants.
No, you don't have to wear tight pants. You can wear loose fitting sweatpants or something. There's a line drive down at third. Hey, Jim Day. Now, did I see where the big hitters are truly sitting down by you now, right?
Indeed, Tom. You can't get any bigger than Reds CEO, Mr. Bob Castellini, and along with wife, Susie Castellini.
Yeah, there she is. Hi,
yes,
Susie.
with some guests here. Mrs. Castellini, I want to ask you, what do you think about Wrigley Field? You've been coming here a long time. It's kind of a new look.
Love Wrigley Field. Love it. I love what the new boards are doing. And they kept the old board. It's great.
Now you got some guests here. Who you got with you tonight?
Got a couple of cousins. And then a bunch of Chicago people who are being Reds fans tonight.
Well, they know who to listen to, right? No doubt about that. Yes. Mrs. Castellini and Mr. Castellini. So, Tom, Cowboy, I'm on my best behavior down here.
Well, you better be, Jim Day. I love that look on Bob's face, and I would love it on any married couple. It's been as long as they have been together. He did not realize right away that, Jim, you were going to be talking to his wife, I don't think, on TV, and then when he looked over there and saw it, just the look on, yeah, I mean, that's a good stuff.
That's a competitor right there, man. Bob Castellini.
Oh, yeah. In multiple business fronts.
Yes. And not just that, he wants to beat you in checkers. I like that. I love that competitiveness.
Back up the middle. Virginia's right there. And I tell you, Bryant, for a big man, can really get up the line. And that was a bang play. But in time, says Ryan Blackney, the first base umpire.
Not only can he get up the line, it is the effort that he put forth to get up the line. He knows where Jeanette's playing. There are a lot of guys that say, all right, well, I hit it right on an infielder, I'm just going to take it easy. No, not Chris Bryant.
I'm not sure. Matt Jenkins has come out to the pitcher's mound here. And the Cubs have asked for a review, and I got a feeling they might win it. Something must have happened there. That ball must have hit, and that's why it was slowed down so much. The call is still out. I am stunned. Of course, the Reds are due for a couple coming their way after what happened this weekend.
I believe the ball may have hit the hand.
Yes.
The pitching hand of Castillo. You can see him squeezing it back and forth, trying to get the feeling back into it.
You can read his lips.
What happened?
What happened? I mean, that's looks like his foot's on. Well, you know, it's really.
So we'll call that 1-4-3.
Yes, we will. Yeah, it looked like the ball was hit hard and then really slowed down after he got beyond the mound. All right, so now 2 down, scoreless game, last of the 6th inning. And here's Rizzo.
May have hit the glove hand.
That's the one I thought it hit. Yeah.
Because he didn't have to throw any warm-up pitches, any other issue. They didn't come out and look at it. Hit your glove hand. Whatever. Hit your pitching hand. That's your moneymaker.
Yeah. Well, Chris Welsh used to tell the story all the time after he had been the last guy cut by the New York Yankees in a year where in the CBA, the collective bargaining agreement, they got the rosters down to 24. Broke his thumb on his glove hand and still pitched. Castillo dealing tonight. His offense needs to get it going.
last night in Denver, Rockies starting pitcher Chad Bettis completed his long road back from testicular cancer. A huge ovation for him. And not only did he return, but he went out and threw 7 shutout innings as the Rockies topped the Braves 3-0. It inspired a lot of people at Coors Field and outside of Coors Field. No doubt about that. And one guy in a Cubs uniform, John Lester, who's a cancer survivor, took to Twitter this afternoon, and he was inspired himself. And the tweet said, "We haven't met, but I don't have to know you to call you brother. From my family to yours, congratulations on your return." Touching story.
Yep. That made national news, not just in the sports world, but in the news world. A lot of the news websites today. Well, both these pitchers making news by the way they're throwing the baseball here tonight. We are in the top of the 7th inning in a scoreless game. The Reds have 4 hits. Chicago has 2. Castillo's retired 7 straight. The Reds have had a base runner in every single inning except for the 3rd. They left 2 on in the 1st, left 2 on in the 4th. Hamilton got picked off to end the 5th. And after a 1-out walk, Hendricks easily retired. Duvall and Jeanette in the 6th. And that's the way it's going. Oh, boy. Suarez thought for sure that was ball 4. But the only opinion that matters is that of Marvin Hudson.
Middle of the plate. High low. Below the catcher's mask, or right at it.
Well, that wasn't much different, was it?
That one was a little bit further outside.
Yeah. It's a 4th walk given up by Hendricks. Now each team has action in its bullpen. A reminder coming up later on. Miller time moment brought to you by Miller Lite. Now what do you think of that couple right there? I mean, you got the mighty Buckeye t-shirt right there, the Reds lid, and then you have your better half, other half with Cubbies gear on. Pulled foul.
Love comes in all forms.
Yes, it does.
I have seen it at events at home where husband has on an Ole Miss shirt, wife a Mississippi State Bulldog shirt.
Yes, you have.
You know, it's just part of it.
All right, let's see if the Reds can get something going here. No score. Leadoff man aboard with a walk. Time was granted there, so no balk. Our old buddy Paul Keels, the voice of the Ohio State Buckeyes, tuned in tonight up in Columbus. He's gearing up. 2 weeks from Thursday, the Buckeyes are going to tee him up at Bloomington, Indiana.
Good man.
Oh, he's a great guy and a great announcer. Both football and basketball for the Buckeyes. All right, Cowboy. Now here is where managers have to make decisions. Okay. You've got Tucker Barnhart coming up, who's one of the best bunters on the team if you're thinking about putting down a bunt. Now, some people say that's an automatic move. There are different people that feel different ways about the bunt. Then you have the pitcher spot afterwards, as Joe Madden is going to come to the mound, and it appears he's going to make a change. But I'm going to ask you before we go to the break, and we're going to get to the break quickly, because this is a very important decision now for Brian Price. If he asks Barnhart to bunt, runners at 2nd and 3rd and 1 out, and you're going to take a guy out of the game who's throwing a 2-hit shutout. All right, Skyline Chili called to the bullpen. We're back in a minute. No score. We're in the 7th. 2 on, none out. Let's start first things first. If you're the manager, are you bunting Tucker Barnhart with first and second, nobody out in a scoreless game?
No.
Okay.
I let him swing it. The problem that comes down is if Tucker doesn't get a hit, then you're ultimately going to have to pinch hit for your pitcher. What I want here, if I'm Brian Price, is for Tucker to get a base hit and I can leave my big boy in the game.
So even if he gets a hit and drives in a run here, if you had runners, say, at first and second, you'd bunt him then, the pitcher.
Then I bunt the pitcher.
Right. All right, well, it's first things first. Let's find out what the Reds are thinking with nobody out. And Barnhart the batter. Now Castillo naturally standing in the on-deck circle, although we saw, as you mentioned, Kiblahan already with a helmet on in the Reds dugout. We have talked about it many, many times that Barnhart, if not the best bunter among the position players, he is one of the best bunters among the position players. And because of where he bats in the batting order, he is asked to bunt more frequently than a lot of other batters in the Reds' regular lineup. Barnhart has 5 sacrifices to lead the team, and that's the second most overall on the team, including pitchers. Oh, boy. Now what? Swinging away? I mean, you didn't.
I'd have been swinging from pitch 1, but
still nothing at 2. Reds trying to break through as Kendricks has been lifted after 6+ excellent innings tonight. Only blemished 4 walks and allowed 5 base hits. 1 ball and 2 strikes. This Edwards is having a good year, and they have bigger and bigger things in store for this young man moving forward. His manager's already said it. This is the 7th time he's pitched against the Reds this season. He has not allowed a single run. Swing and a miss. And the runner's going to get to third. That is excellent base running by the lead runner there in Suarez. Now Winker is just not a fast runner. That's not excusing him for not getting to second, but he's not going to take the chance in this situation. To strike out in a wild pitch, allowing the runner to go to third.
well, when you look back at that replay, you see how quickly Suarez was already heading to third base. His jump was a good split second ahead of the jump from Jesse Winker. Now Winker also has to make sure that the runner is advancing to third, so he has to wait a moment. Almost got caught in no man's land.
Well, that's been no man's land reaching third tonight, because it's the first time for either team that a runner has gotten to third. All right, now Kiblahan batting for Castillo. Where the rubber meets the road. Castillo was spectacular here tonight, and there's no other word to describe it. He strikes out 7 in his 6 innings, allowing 2 hits, 2 harmless singles. He walked 2 and no runs. What a great outing tonight for this very impressive young Reds right-hander. Well, those are big swings by Kiblahan, who's proven he has some pop in that bat, but boy, you got to find a way to get this guy in from third.
When you've got a guy on the mound that throws as hard as Edwards, it's not about big swing, it's about quick swing. Let his velocity do the work for you, because when you take a big swing, that means you have to commit quicker, and you're susceptible to the breaking ball, as we saw on the first 2 pitches.
All right, Edwards coming in doing but nothing but throwing strikes. Two outs in the inning. So everything that could have gone wrong over a 2-batter sequence went wrong for Brian Price and the Reds. You ask a player to put down a bunt, he can't get down a bunt. A runner advanced on a wild pitch. You're forced then to pinch hit for a pitcher who's throwing a 2-hit shutout, and the pinch hitter strikes out on 3 pitches. It's up to Billy Hamilton. And this guy is a strike machine since he's come into this game, talking about Edwards. Man, that's what you want out of a reliever, coming in with first and second and nobody out.
Getting loud in here. And nobody's sitting down now.
Winker takes second base. That takes a force out, of course, at that bag away. That's the first stolen base in Winker's career. Second and third, no score. We're into 7th, 2 outs. A ball and 2 strikes on Hamilton. What an extraordinary block by Caratini. That could be a game saver.
This is that 45-foot hook, trying to get a swing and miss. Those are the toughest pitches to block, and he keeps it right there in front.
Reds at second and third, 2 outs in the inning, 2 balls, 2 strikes to Billy Hamilton. Can Hamilton deliver the 2-out, 2-strike hit to get the Reds on the board in the 7th? No, he cannot. Inning over. Edwards comes in and strikes out 3 straight batters. And now Castillo's out of the game in a scoreless game. We got the Redlegs and the Cubbies in a scoreless game. And now Michael Lorenzen takes over on the mound. Castillo fans 7. 5 of those 7 Cowboy on that changeup that you like so much. Lorenzen his 51st appearance. And that is a playable ball. And Lorenzen tried to scoop it up. That was the only play. I mean, if Votto picks it up, the runner's going to be safe. The ball was nearly by him already. The ball was hit so weakly that if Votto gets to it, it's hit so slowly, you're still not going to be able to field, make the exchange to the covering pitcher.
Yeah, but you've got Caratini running, not a very fast runner.
Yeah.
But when it's game situation and the game is on, it feels like everything is moving fast forward.
8 hits in this game, all of them singles. Swing and a miss by Almora Jr., who has one of those singles. A base hit to right his last time up. Nearly 37,000 on hand here tonight for this Tuesday night affair. Almora trying to surprise everybody with a bunt. Probably surprised his own manager. He can run, though. Two on Almora. And it's hooked down the left field line into the corner. Throw goes into second base, and the runner will be out at second base. But the lead runner, Caratini, goes to third. So that'll go as a single. And an out at second, but a runner 90 feet away.
This also gives you an 11th assist for Adam Duvall, and this throw is money. As a base runner, if you're Almora, you're expecting that ball to go to third, but instead it shows up right in front of you. Nice play by Adam Duvall.
All right, Reds have to bring their infield in after consecutive singles. Liner right at Jeanette. I think Lorenzen got in on him a little bit. I don't think that was barreled up. Do you?
No. I thought it was a cutter in on his hands.
Yeah.
He caught it right around, just above the label.
All right, so Lorenzen gets a critical out, and he has one more to go. And he's facing a hitter who right now is really hot. He's over 2 tonight. Pedro Strop throws in Chicago's bullpen. Scoreless game, last in the 7th inning. Now Baez is not a guy who is cutting down on his swing and letting, as you suggested a minute ago when Kimland was up there, let a power pitcher like Lorenzen provide the power. I mean, Baez, every swing he makes, he would spin himself into the ground.
Baez has a longer swing, so you want to start the ball in the strike zone and try to get it out, whether it's a fastball up, fastball running in, or the breaking ball that starts middle away and gets off the plate.
Well, the catcher had their Big play in the top of the inning by Caratini, and this is a big one by Barnhart in the bottom of the inning. Same thing, 45-foot breaking ball.
Yeah, that breaking ball there, it hits the dirt, and instead of continuing towards the first base dugout, it hits, and it actually comes back to the catcher. So if you don't control your momentum as a catcher, you're not going to block it correctly.
The Reds lost a difficult game on this road trip in Milwaukee over the weekend with that extra inning 0-2 wild pitch by Adelman.
Michael Lorenzen might have gotten away with one there. That was more in the middle of the plate. The off speed of the pitch helped him out.
Through another one. Look at the torque in this swing. Look at that finish. The chain around his neck nearly does a full 360. And at times it can become very frustrating for those who watch this Cub team on a regular basis. Does a lot of good things. Does some things you'd like to see him change a little bit. Down to third. Inning over. Excellent work by Lorenzen after getting into trouble to start the inning. Still no score. We're off to the 8th.
Presented by authority of the Cincinnati Reds. It may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Cincinnati Reds.
Reds and these Cubbies will come to the Great American Ballpark, presented by Universal Forest Products. You can be there 22nd, 23rd, 24th. Visit Reds.com. Well, that relief appearance by Edwards was about as dominant a relief appearance as I've seen by someone not named either Chapman or Iglesias in a long time. Faced 3 batters and struck them all out. So you might be getting a little bit of a break, although this guy's pretty good too. Pedro Strop. He's having a good year. Look at that ERA and that opponent batting average, 179.
There were 3 batters that he is facing. Cozart, Votto, Duvall are a collective 1 for 23.
You mean against him?
Against Pedro Strop.
Votto waiting. It's a big chance for the Reds here in this inning, even with those ugly numbers against this guy. I mean, these are the guys you'd pick to come up in the inning.
No doubt.
That'll be an out. "16 strikeouts in this game between the two offenses, only a total of 9 base hits."
Well, I think that's a credit to the good pitching that we've seen so far here tonight. I mean, every pitcher that's taken the mound has worked quick. They've stayed out of the middle of the plate for the most part.
Reds have left 7 runners on base. Chicago, meanwhile, has left a total of 4. Tell you, that was a huge out, that base running out. You know, we kind of, you know, gave all the credit to Duvall, and look, he made a good throw. But in the grand scheme of things, that is an absolutely brutal base running mistake by Almora.
Well, I think most outfielders look up and just lob the ball back in on a ball that's down the left field line. Duvall has the type of arm that allows him to come up and look for an aggressive play. That's why he leads the major leagues in assists now with 11. Duvall is always looking for that throw at second base.
I wonder, is that the kind of thing, a guy like Joe Madden, does he go up to Almora after the game or maybe tomorrow and say, hey, look, you know, I mean, in football, you know it's going to happen, right? In basketball, there's probably a good chance it's going to happen. In baseball, does somebody come up to him and say, look, that just can't happen? You gave away an out right there when you could have had 3 shots with a runner at third instead of only 2. Votto draws a walk. He has been on base 3 times tonight. 0 for 1, 3 walks.
I think the conversation doesn't go exactly like that. I think it goes more along the lines of you've got to know your outfielder's arms as you advance from base to base and from series to series, because there are a lot of left fielders that can't make that throw that Duvall just made. I mean, he was back there close to the warning track and makes a throw right on a dime.
Votto tonight in 4 plate appearances, 1 at bat, has seen a total of 21 pitches. He's walked 3 times. I mean, they're just not throwing him any strikes tonight, except for that second time up. None. Okay, Brian Price went on and on and on and on today. I found it quite refreshing before the ball game today. When asked about, you know, pitching around a guy with a 5-run lead in the 6th or 7th or 5th inning, and he's like, I've seen more of it in the last year or 2, and look out here. Duvall, a base hit into left center field, and Votto's going to come to third, and Duvall will not make the same mistake that Almora made and try to go to second. So now all of a sudden the runner stands at third with 1 out in the inning for Jeanette. And again, there's a perfect example of not making a silly base running mistake. That was a good throw.
Also knowing that the left fielder tonight got to the baseball quickly and has a good arm. you have to understand those things.
First pitch swinging, Jeanette down to third base line towards a corner and foul. All right, now the Reds are 0 for 6 tonight with runners in scoring position. You go back to last night and tonight, they are 1 for 17.
Going back to that Duvall play, if you have a right-handed throwing left fielder that is breaking towards left center field, you can advance to second, you can take that chance. But because it's John Jay who is breaking that way, he's left-handed, you have to know that ahead of time.
Pitch in the dirt, and another excellent play by Caratini, who has made 2 huge plays on balls in the dirt with a runner at third in each of the last 2 innings. That's textbook.
I think as a base runner, it's the same as a position player. You have to know what to do when the ball's hit to you ahead of time.
That ball in the air to right center field, and this is going to bring in a run. Tagging and scoring is Votto. And Jeanette has broken this scoreless tie with a liner to drive in Joey. The big hit in the inning by Duvall. And the Reds take a 1-0 lead in the 8th.
If not for some pretty good positioning by the Cubs defense, that ball's rattling around in the ivy. But Hayward had moved a couple of steps towards right center field before the pitch was ever made because of the velocity of Pedro's stroke, and was able to make that play. Yes, it gives the Reds a run, but it could have been worse.
Well, even with his offensive trouble since signing as a Cub, Hayward is an extraordinary defender. That was a really nice play. You mentioned the positioning, but he still had to go get it.
But I think that's part of being a great defensive player. You understand the pitcher on the mound. You have an idea about where he's going to pitch a batter because you're paying attention to where the catcher sets up, and you move accordingly. Very similar to your shortstop or second baseman or your center fielder. You've got the catcher right in front of you in the signs. I guess you would call that having a feel for the game.
One ball and one strike on Suarez, who's been on twice, a single and a walk. And now 1 ball and 2 strikes to him. It's so much fun when you have games like this where really every batter or sequences in innings can mean something instead of a. That's why I've never understood the infatuation with a lot of runs being scored and that kind of thing. There's a tapper to short and the inning is over. But the Reds break through. They get a 1-out walk, a single, a sac fly. Go to the bottom of the 8th. 1-0. Take a look at Homer Bailey down there, Cowboy, doing a little toe tapping on the top of a chair, working on some mechanics.
What he's doing is trying to work on this hip here, sliding forward to the plate before the upper body does. What it allows him to do is to stay on this back leg longer, and it gives him hand time to get up and on top of the baseball out of the stretch. You use the towel to simulate a ball so you're not dry throwing, but what it does is it creates muscle memory over and over and over again. That front hip is so important to staying on the back leg and giving your arm time to get up and your hand getting into the power position.
We'll be looking at that tomorrow night when Bailey takes him out and how that plays out for him. This ball hooked down the line and foul off the bat of Zen Ben Zobrist. And there you see the matchup. Lackey will get the ball, a 10-game winner despite a very high ERA. And Bailey trying to come all the way back after basically missing the last 2 years. So Wandy Peralta now takes over on the mound for the Reds. Peralta last pitched on Friday night, working a perfect inning against Milwaukee. So he's had Saturday, Sunday, and Monday off. He had pitched 4 out of 5 days, including 3 in a row before this break. Zobrist has just had a really, really tough year. Injuries, poor play, but man, he always seems to give the Reds a big time at bat. Boy, oh boy, oh boy. I mean, we know Zobrist is better than a .220 hitter. My, oh my, a walk to him to begin the inning after your team just scored a run. The Reds not sure if they would ask John Jay to put down a bunt. Suarez is one step in on the grass at third. You don't figure they're going to do that here. And they throw over to find out if maybe he shows his hand, right?
Yeah, I think what you look for if you're Brian Price or if you're Eugenio Suarez is for that top hand to move at all. If it slides anything at all up, then you know he's going to bunt. I didn't see any movement at all. And that shows you a veteran move by John Jay. He didn't move the first time. That time he quickly squared in order to put the bunt down.
Now look, this isn't some guy that can't hit left-handed. Jay is hitting .305. I mean, I don't know about you, Cowboy. If I'm a betting man, there's no way Jay's bunting during this at bat.
Well, the issue that you have is you'll bring Ian Happ to the plate. That's a right-handed batter. Ultimately for Joe Madden, he's trying to get to Chris Bryant.
Well, they have Jay take a stab at it. 1 ball and 1 strike. We'll see if that changes.
But I would bet that Joe Madden is banking on a young pitcher on the mound. Big crowd here. Get a guy into scoring position. Then you start to try to play on the emotions of the young pitcher.
I am really, really surprised. You're not. It doesn't sound like. I'm just stunned. You don't see the Cubs do a lot of this, especially with guys that can hit.
Well, right now, the pressure is on the Cubs to try to score, to swing to score a run. You move a runner to second base, that pressure translates to the guy that's standing in the middle of the diamond, and that would be Wandy Peralta.
It's foul ball. But Barnhart's so quick on balls like that.
And he takes nothing for granted. He makes his move. He gets to the baseball. He lets the umpire make his call, but he's making his move. If you look down to see, well, am I in fair territory, or when you don't make the play? Make the play, let them decide later.
Jay has one sacrifice this entire year. He's nearly hit with that pitch all year. In fact, the Cubs only have one position player who has more than 2 all year, and that's Baez.
Even if you bring in Iglesias here, Tom, Ian Happ will obviously hit right-handed against Peralta, but you bring in Iglesias here, he'll turn around and hit from the left side. Oh boy.
I got to tell you, you know, and it's not like the guy's not trying, and the Reds have pitched great here tonight, and Peralta's had a good year, but that right there is absolutely inexcusable. You've got a player the entire at bat trying to give himself up for an out, and he gets walked in that at bat. That just cannot happen.
And I think part of that for Wandy Peralta is just trying to make too good of a pitch. When in reality, Peralta's stuff is so good, all he's got to do is be aggressive and go after the batter. But that's a lesson learned for a young player, his first year in the big leagues. It's not as though Peralta has pitched in the 8th inning all year long. He's been more of a 6th and a 7th inning guy, but the Reds are trying to transition him to the back end of the bullpen, and these are the lessons that he has to learn. Get yourself under control, use that adrenaline in a positive way.
Now, if you're wondering about Happ, he does have, in far fewer at bats than a lot of his teammates, he does have 2 sacrifices, and the Reds think he's bunting, and naturally they let him hack on the first pitch.
I think he hits better from the right side. And he does. 284 average from the right side, 233 left-handed.
He does have a sacrifice from each side of the plate. Reds still think he might be bunting. Votto's in on the grass, and it's 0-2.
Pretty good changeup right there from Peralta.
Hey, Joe Madden can keep you guessing here. We had a hitter a moment ago who's a .305 batter against left-handed pitching, who was asked to bunt the entire at bat. You got a guy who's got a nice average, as Cowboy pointed out, but it's still 20 points less than Jay is against the lefties. And he's swinging away from the get-go. And he just got worked over right there again on that changeup.
3 straight changeups, and that's a money pitch for Peralta. We saw how good the changeup worked early in the ball game for young Luis Castillo. It seems like Peralta got his emotions under control a little bit as Ian Happ stepped to the plate. And now with the big boys coming in with Chris Bryant, Anthony Rizzo, you go to the whip and bring on Iglesias.
All right, so we will take a break in the action. Back with more in a moment. The college weekend ticket package. It includes an exclusive Reds cap branded with your school's colors and logo. Really cool. Plus, you get a portion of each ticket will benefit a scholarship fund of a school of your choice. For a list of participating schools and to purchase Reds.com/college, the place to go. It's a cool idea. All right, it's a double switch. Jose Peraza taking over for Jeanette, who knocked in the game's only run in the top of this 8th inning. No sooner the Reds taking a lead, Peralta came in, walked the first 2 hitters in the inning before getting a strikeout. Now the Reds bring on their closer with 1 out in the 8th, Iglesias. And what a matchup right from the get-go. The reigning National League most valuable player, Chris Bryant, who's in the hottest stretch of his season. He's 0 for 2 tonight, has drawn a walk.
This is the mother of all save situations right here. And the save situation tonight for the Reds does not come in the 9th. It comes in the 8th, and it comes right now.
Second time already in the first 2 pitches of this at bat that Joe Madden, I think, is screaming that Iglesias is balking. I mean, he is livid down there in that Chicago dugout. It's a money play again by Barnhart.
Well, these are the situations, Tom, where you earn your money as a closer. It's not just pitching those last 3 outs of the 9th. It's coming in, runner standing at second base. It's game on.
Trying to protect a 1-run lead. Straight up in the air, should be the second out of the inning. This will be well, we'll see. Can get a little tricky here now. Infield fly rule at the very last minute into effect once Peraza had settled underneath. 1 more to go, and it's Anthony Rizzo. Last night, Cincinnati pitching gave up 15 runs, 17 hits, and 3 home runs. Tonight, 4 singles. But it's a 1-0 Reds lead with 2 on in the Chicago 8th.
Pitching coach once told me later in my career, he and I didn't always see eye to eye, but he was very smart when it came to this. Starting pitching sets the tone of your ball game, and that was Dave Duncan. The starting pitcher sets the tone.
And that's exactly what Castillo did tonight. Wrigley Field debut. First start ever against these defending world champions. And shut them out on 2 hits in 6 innings. Two and one on Anthony Rizzo. A pitch hit him. So the Cubs have loaded the bases without a hit in this 8th inning. 2 walks and a hit batter. Cubs are going to send up their catcher, Caratini. Cubs really like the way this guy swings a bat.
And he can hit. But Castillo got him twice earlier on changeups.
Straight up in the air. Is this playable? A long run for Adam. And in amongst the fans. I know what you're thinking down there. I know what you're thinking. It wasn't in that spot. I was here.
He has a World Series ring now.
It's nice. It's really, really classy. Bases loaded. 0-2 on a foul ball to left and a foul ball wide of first. And this time Votto will throw it all the way on the roof. Yes. And here it comes. Joey threw a changeup up there last night. Look at that grin. Hey, keep him wondering, Cowboy, right?
He's having fun.
Yeah, I love it. Good for him. Well, it'd be a lot of fun for Joey and his teammates if this is strike 3 right here. And that it is. So Iglesias comes in and cleans up the mess. The Cubs leave them loaded. The 9th inning we go. 1-0 Reds. Ohio brought to you by Kroger. Stop by your neighborhood Kroger to save big store-wide. Great food, low prices at Kroger. By Cincinnati USA Regional Tourism Network. Stay close to CincinnatiUSA.com. And by Toyota. For over 30 offers, visit buyatoyota.com. Toyota. Let's go places. Saturday on FS1, the hottest team in the world, the Dodgers, go to the Motor City. They'll take on the Tigers. Saturday, 3 Eastern on FS1, streaming live on Fox Sports Go. To the bullpen go the Cubs. Left-hander Justin Wilson takes over. That's one of the 2 changes. The other is Ben Zobrist stays in for La Stella at second base.
Well, those of you that are Reds fans, you remember Justin Wilson when he came up with the Pirates organization. Came over to the Cubs from the Tigers. Still has that high velocity fastball, but right now still trying to rein in a little bit of that radar at the plate. Still throws the ball awfully hard, but he can be all over the place.
In fact, both of those left-handers we saw come up with the Pirates together are now gone. Those young left-handers. In fact, all three of those guys that were the primary forces of that bullpen back where they had the, what's the kid's name? I'm drawing a blank.
Watson, Wilson.
Yeah, but I think those other two guys were even there before Melanson became the closer. Who was the guy that went to the All-Star game? Remember the veteran guy had been there? Jason Grilli. Yeah.
Tony Watson and Justin Wilson were the main setup guys for Grilli, along with Jared Hughes, who's now in the Milwaukee Brewers big leagues.
3-0 on Winker. And there's a strike. There's not been an extra base hit in this game. And just for the record, you go back to 1964. It's been a while, right?
You and I would know.
Yes, we would. We were born that year before. There has only been one game ever played between two teams in this ballpark where there was not an extra base hit. Guess who it was? The Reds and the Cubs in 2002. The Reds won that game 1-0.
Sounds like a little Twilight Zone.
Sure does. Where's that music? Oh, that's right. We'd be sued. Well, this time they do ask Barnhart for a second straight time to bunt, and for a second straight time he can't do it. Tucker Norman has been very good at that this year, but not tonight. Now pinch hitter going to come up there. Or I beg your pardon, part of a double switch. It was Peraza who came into play second when Iglesias entered the game. So he's up there right now.
I mean, you see the velocity from Wilson. It's 96, 97. Cutter's at 92. Not been a whole lot of strikes.
Fisted down to first base line, and that is a fair ball and a ground rule double. That's a big base hit in his first plate appearance of the night for Jose Peraza. I mean, he just floated one over the first baseman's head, just fair.
Yeah, it looks like this ball cuts in on his hands, but he's inside it just enough to push it the other way. And as soon as it hit the ground, it just bounced right up into the seats. I mean, that ball bounced and just took a right turn. It tells you how much spin that ball had on it.
I think that's why that guy who caught it was so surprised the way he caught it. All right, infield in. Here's Hamilton. Been a tough night for Hamilton so far. 1 of 4. His 3 outs have been strikeouts, all swinging. He had his base hit off Hendricks in the 5th, who had struck him out his first 2 times up. And again, Hamilton saying something to the umpire. It looked like he had a pretty good beef with that pitch. That looked up and in. Let's see what Foxtrax has to say about it. Yeah, it's way in. That one will fall in a base hit. And Billy with a big 2-strike base hit into left field to give the Reds a 2-0 lead here in the 9th. Good for Billy Hamilton.
Wilson tried to come back with that same curveball. It just spins right over the middle of the plate. A major mistake. Insurance runs this late in the ball game. Oh, are they so big?
And now have a chance to get another one. Got a runner at third with still only one out in the inning, and Cozart the batter. Oh, he had a good pitch to hit right there and straight back.
Justin Wilson has always had a phenomenal arm, but the arm may get you to the big leagues. You got to get the ball over the plate, especially if you're going to pitch at the end of the ball game. Well, these days, if you're going to pitch, period, you got to get the ball over the plate.
Runner goes from first base. He better get back. Hamilton's in a hurry now. Catch is made, and because the catcher had to go up against the screen, Billy, with that speed, able to get back to the bag. He didn't know where the ball was initially. It'd be hard for him to know that. And pretty important out recorded there by Wilson. Really nice play.
You know, watching Billy run there, it was almost as though we put it on fast forward, because he kind of slowed down a little bit, adjusted his helmet, thought the ball was coming behind home plate, and he put the afterburners on.
Strike one, Novato, who's walked 3 times. 0 for 1 is struck out. This is real speed now.
Okay, that's slow, and that's fast.
He's run now 2 pitches in a row. He was running on the pitch to Cozart and ran on the first pitch to Votto. Not this time. 1-1. Votto's never said it, but I've never thought that he was a batter that liked guys running. The Reds don't do it a lot when he's at the plate, so maybe there's something to that. I mean, he's never said in any way, shape, or form, you know, he'll always come out being a pro's pro and say, hey, it's no big deal, I'm all right. But like Pujols back in his heyday, he'd come out and say, I like it when they're running, and he'd hit when they're running.
And he did.
Yeah. Just not seen a lot of times through the years where guys, when they're running, Votto is hitting. Runner goes right there, and he fouls it off to the third base side. Does that make sense to you or no? All the games that we see the Reds play?
I think it does, because when you're coming up, you may not have a guy like Hamilton that's always stealing bases in front of you. And for the longest time, the Reds didn't have a Billy Hamilton when Votto was hitting. But once Billy got to the plate, I think it becomes an adjustment. All of a sudden you get used to it, and then it doesn't bother you so much.
Breaking ball inside. Well, now he's at second base. He didn't have to swing the bat and pitch nowhere near the strike zone. That's Hamilton's 50th stolen base of the year.
You know, right now, I would think you could turn the lights out if Votto could hit.
You're right. The way he's going right now, you're exactly right. I mean, he is the hottest guy in the game by far. If you add up all the numbers on base. Now, Stanton's hitting more home runs. Nobody's hitting and getting on base more the way Votto is right now. I just couldn't believe all those numbers that Jim Day had up earlier. You know, 12 home runs his last 11 games, but 18 home runs since the All-Star break.
Talking about Stanton.
Yeah. Now Votto, his numbers are just getting on and wearing it out. This will be the 28th pitch he has seen in this game tonight. Base hit makes it a 4-0 game. And he's going to battle.
Well, if Votto keeps this up, he's going to average getting on base during this run 3 times a game. I mean, he's 50 getting on base 3 times tonight with a walk. That's 53 times in 20 games. What do you do?
Well, he's having by far the best season of his incredible major league career. And not by a little bit, by far.
And this is a former MVP.
Yeah. His last 3 trips to the plate, he is now going to see his 22nd pitch.
I think when you add in the hitting and the power numbers for Votto that he has this year, and he's still being walked at about the same rate as we've seen in years past. I mean, what are you throwing?
I think Wilson's wondering right now. 2-2 pitch. He just said, here's a country hardball. All right, Reds get a run. Bottom of the ninth, 2-0. Reds in front. Iglesias tries to finish him off. Venues and come to Great American Ballpark in a little more than a week. For tickets, visit Reds.com. Our Miller Time moment brought to you by Miller Lite. Moments from the young right-hander, Mr. Luis Castillo.
He may never have pitched at Wrigley Field or faced the Cubs, but you'd never know it. He came after these guys non-stop. Even in the situation where we had earlier in the ball game, he walked a batter, Tommy La Stella, in front of Chris Bryant, and he went right after Bryant. Got a routine ground ball to shortstop. Didn't they make a T-shirt, No Fear?
Yes, they did.
Yeah.
Still make them, I think.
Yeah, they should have put Luis on the back of it.
You're right. And then I thought around Chicago you meant Luis Salazar.
No, I said Luis Castillo.
I know. All right, Kyle Schwarber, young man from Middletown, Ohio. Football standout, baseball standout for the Middies. Man, have they had some athletes come through that school. You've heard of a guy named Chris Carter, haven't you? Former great NFL wide receiver, Hall of Famer.
I have.
Well, comes out of there. All right, 2-0 now on Schwarber. Iglesias, if he can nail this down, he's blown one save all year long. He would join Kenley Jansen of the Dodgers for the major league lead of closers that have the most saves of 4 or more outs this year. It would be the 9th. Here's a 2-1 pitch. In there, a strike. And I don't want some of the older watchers throwing something at the TV because I forgot about the Hall of Famer Jerry Lucas. Basketball, Middletown, Buckeye, NBA. Crowd thought it was low, but right on that line. Two and two the count. Talked about Schwarber, and they started the year after being one of the heroes in the World Series after getting injured the first week of the season, blew out his knee, came back, played in the World Series, played beautifully, hit the ball in the World Series. I mean, folklore stuff around here. Well, this year began and he wasn't doing much of anything. And so they sent him back to the minor leagues. Been about a .250 batter since they brought him back. But everybody believes he's going to get it together and be the player or hitter they think he will be when they drafted him number 1. Three and two to Schwarber. That is into my dad's radio booth over there, and I mean right at his head. I am not kidding you. I hope he hit the deck. Apparently he did. I mean right at him. Schwarber grew up listening to Marty Brennaman. Come on. Can't do that to him, can you?
Well, he has no control. There are a lot of us that grew up listening to you, Dad.
And there might be some that have a legitimate beef to try to fall one off his shoulder. But not Schwarber. And that too is a joke. Base hit right field. That's a
good at bat.
Good at bat.
Real good at bat.
Nine pitch at bat for Schwarber.
Head down on the ball. Stays right through it. You watch Kyle Schwarber hit. He has shorter arms, so it really allows him to be awfully quick on the ball in. That ball was actually out away from him, and he's still able to stay on it and stay through it.
All right, so now the tying run will come to the plate. It's Jason Hayward. These Cub batters, man, you get later in this game and they are out of the box on every pitch. And popped up and out of play. You know, this was a series. You may remember we told you about this when the Cubs were in Cincinnati. This was a series where the winning team had scored 5 runs or more in 31 straight games between these two teams. So somebody was doing a whole lot of hitting. The winning team. Fouled over the screen and out of play.
This is one of those positions, Tom, where you have a big man at the plate. You know his weakness is inside, but yet if you miss inside and it leaks out over the plate and he connects, the game's tied. But you have to trust your ability to make a pitch if you're Raisel Iglesias. You don't want to leave a ball out over the plate. That allows Hayward to get extension. The book says pound him in. Make your pitch and believe in it.
Buried him on the hands there. Hayward tonight is bounced to first when he broke his back, popped up to short left, and with a runner at third and 1 out in the 7th inning, lined out to the second baseman. First and second with nobody out. Pitch that guy away, you're doing him a favor.
That's exactly where he wants the ball. He stands way off the plate, closes quickly. Anything that is middle away, and even really a couple of inches off the plate, he has the length and the ability to shoot the ball the other way, and he does it right there.
Now we've had this being the third batter in the last 2 Cub at-bats where you're saying, all right, are they bunting? And I mentioned Baez is the only Cub player, position player, that has 4 bunts, sacrifices. Stabbed at that one and missed it. You know, I've never understood that theory about, you know, play to win on the road and a tie at home. That to me is, that's just somebody saying something to say it. Maybe you disagree with that. I mean, if you're going to go for the win, go for the win.
Well, I think that you have to play to your position, to your batter's strengths. And Baez has an ability, as you mentioned before, to be able to get the bunt down. You create a situation, if he does get the bunt down and he's successful, runners at second and third.
And he'll get it down. That'll be his 5th.
Now what you've done, if you're Joe Madden, is you've turned the tide a little bit. You're putting the pressure now on Raisel Iglesias. You cannot make a mistake now. If you do, the game is tied.
So Baez does his job. And now it's Zobrist. Zobrist came up as a pinch hitter in the 8th inning. As we mentioned, he's only hitting .220. But he got walked. Now, even in a down year, Zobrist is hitting a lot better left-handed than he is right-handed. You see his career numbers against Raisel. Tying run at second, 1 out, bottom of the 9th. Reds had a big chance to get more than 1 in the top of the 9th. But they did get 1. There's a base hit into right field. Winker fields the ball flat-footed and still fires it back into right. And all of a sudden the tying run is at third, and man, it seems like every time the Reds see Zobrist, he is banging balls around the park. I've never seen an outfielder field a ball like this on a play like this. Have you?
It almost looked as though he was backing up as the ball was coming to him. Now, granted, the ball was smoked.
Yeah, maybe he's making sure it didn't get by him, because it was hit.
But I go back to that bunt. If you have runners at first and second, there's not a whole lot of pressure on Raisel Iglesias. Second and third, that changes the whole dynamic to the inning.
Right now it's John Jay with a tying run at third. You know, the at-bat that started this thing was that long at-bat by Schwarber. Got the count to 3-2 before hooking one into right. And then the Hayward at-bat started the boil. Iglesias has only blown one save all year. Tying run at third. The winning run is at first. 1-1 to Jay with one out.
That looked like a changeup that Iglesias got away with. Up and out over the plate. The speed had John Jay off balance.
And a pinch hitter due up next. But first things first, the 1-2 to Jay. Got him swinging for the second out of the inning. One more to go for Raisel Iglesias.
Backdoor slider. And Jay just swings through it. The one part about pitching at this part of the ball game, you remember the pressure is not only on the pitcher, but there's a lot more on the hitter as well, as Alex Avila comes to the plate. He was the catcher in last night's ball game.
He is batting for the pitcher Wilson. Strike one. They brought him over after they had the situation take place with Miguel Montero. They felt like they needed another veteran guy back there. And of course, all that was preceded by the injury since then to Contreras. Tying run at third. And it's 0-2 on Avila. So now Raisel will walk a good 10-15 feet onto the grass behind the mound. Will bend over, stretch, climb the back of the hill. Trying to send that young man and nearly 37,000 others home disappointed tonight. Oh, 0-2 on Avila. Breaking ball low and in. Pitchers of record, Lorenzen and Stroke. Hammered, but foul. Iglesias a strike away and out away from save number 21. But boy, he's had to earn it tonight. He came in with 2 on and 1 out in the 8th inning. Had to take care of Bryant. He hit a batter and then struck out Caratini to leave him loaded. He's allowed 3 hits and a run here in the 9th. But good enough on this night to nail it down. Iglesias gives up a run on 3 hits in the 9th inning. But with a runner at third and 1 out, the tying run at third, he fans Jay and Avila to end it in a 2-1 Reds win tonight. And that evens this series, Cowboy, game apiece.
Yeah, I thought as you and I talked about earlier, the tone was set earlier by starting pitching. Both of the starters threw the ball awfully well. Ultimately ended up being a bullpen ball game, and the Reds were up to the task. An outstanding job by Raisel Iglesias. I mean, pressure on the line seemingly with every pitch.
Yes, indeed. Iglesias fans 3 in his inning and 2/3 saves, so he has the most 4+ out saves along with Kenley Jansen of the Dodgers. That's 9 of them of his 21 on the year. All right, Reds Live coming up. Reds win 2-1.